Hi. The last time you were over here, I saw you at the Rainbow when you were sort of playing second fiddle to the Dutch band Golden Earring. And the reception that you got over here last time from the London audience was really incredible. The fact that you came over as a second act, really. And then a few weeks after that, you came back and topped the bill, and the house was full, and the gig was a great gig. That must have been a great upper for you on your first visit here to London.
For sure. It felt great.
Did you expect, I mean, before that, really, you'd played with The Who, hadn't you, in North America?
Right.
And you'd done a few other gigs. But basically, you really hadn't sort of travelled out of your home state. Is that just good publicity that in the handout it says that you hadn't left Jacksonville, Florida? Or,
Oh, well, it's basically true. Actually, it's not so much Jacksonville, Florida. It's that region of America in the southeast. And when we played with The Who, it was the first time we'd ever covered that territory of the country.
We'd never played in front of a crowd either, bigger than like 1,200 people. And first night out with The Who was at the Cow Palace in San Francisco. It was like 18,000. So we just went,
because you really were, I suppose, the word discovered by Al Kooper. How did that come
Who was that?
about? Because he produced your first two albums.
oh yeah, right, I
Right.
think we know him.
How did Al Kooper actually get to bring you
We-
onto
we-
NCA?
We were playing bars and pubs, and this one particular one in Atlanta called Pinocchio's, and he came in one night while we was playing and asked to jam, and we said, sure, why not? And so we got to be friends with him. He started playing with us, jamming with us every night we was there. And we were there for a couple of weeks, and then he told us about his record label, and that he wanted to sign us, and we didn't have anything better to do at the time, so we signed, really. We didn't have anything going for us.
Anything to get out of the southern slave circuit.
I don't know if it's the same for small bands in America, but here in England, small bands really just play small bars, and it takes a long, long time, if at all, if they're going to ever get a record contract. And they just travel up and down our famed M1 motorway from the south.
We
up to
did
the
the
north.
same thing for 7 years.
That's the same thing in the States.
Everybody's got to pay the dues sometime.
Yeah. I mean, is it really that difficult when you are a small band in the States to
Well, I'd
actually...
say not that much more difficult than it is for any bands anywhere.
It just, you got to be in the right place at the right time, really. And that takes a long time.
As I said when you guys came into the studio, that I have a terrible confession to make, and it pains me to say it, but I went into the record library earlier on this afternoon to try and find Nothing Fancy, which is an album that did extremely well in a chart that I used to compile, the listeners, in fact, used to compile, called Mummy's Chart, because the program's your mother wouldn't like it. And it got extremely high in the chart, and unfortunately the record kept getting ripped off from the library. I must have phoned MCA Records about 5 times and asked for replacements for this damn record. And I went in there again today, and the record's been ripped off again, which I'm sorry, because I can't play anything from Nothing Fancy, but I can play something from Second Helping. Ronnie and Leon are here in the studio from Leonard Skinner, and that was from Second Helping, Sweet Home Alabama. I suppose that must be a sort of a theme tune for you, really, that track.
Controversial, really.
Controversial?
Yes.
What, the Neil Young thing?
Yeah, about Neil Young.
Could you elaborate on that? Because it's something I've always wondered about, but I thought it was...
Really, we listen to Neil Young a lot. We like him with others' music. And he had a song called Alabama where he was putting down, Alabama, the whole state of Alabama. And actually he was just cutting down the governor in a roundabout way, Mr. Wallace. And we felt like he was shooting all the dogs because some had to flee, And,
Same situation with a song called Southern Man, where he's singing about him seeing tall white mansions and little shacks, and he heard bullwhips cracking and
he ain't heard nothing,
screaming.
man. I mean, he's from California. He don't know nothing,
There ain't no tall white mansions or little shacks down there no more, I don't believe. I haven't seen any.
Actually, talking about sort of records that are themes to you, I mean, the record that really that we played a hell of a lot over here, and it got a hell of a lot of airplay by a lot of the rock jocks, was your first album, pronounced Leonard Skinner, and the one track that really stood out as far as airplay was concerned was Freebird. Yeah. I'd like to play that, actually. We've got to take a break in a second. But you said that that was recorded like 6 years ago. And,
No, it wasn't recorded. We read it.
You were playing it 6 years ago?
Yeah,
right.
we were playing it in the pubs and all 6 years ago.
Is
Since we've been branded with it, we're like, we must play it. It's, I would say it's our most popular song.
Yeah, I mean,
even more so than Alabama.
How do you actually feel when you're up there on stage and everyone is shouting for Freebird?
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, are you really? I mean, do you tend to get sick of these?
Groups have, yeah. You get bored with playing the same song, and you get like into a routine, which we hate to do, But you're there for the people. The people paid the money. It's their show. It's always their show, and whatever they demand that we play them.
You tend to worry sometimes too when that's all they shout for.
Yeah. I mean, if we played Freebird the first song, we might not have an audience after the second one. We don't know.
Well, you can sit back and enjoy it, because it'll be coming up in just a minute. I think if any record is the epitome of the type of music that you guys play, that's it. I mean, it still sends, as I was saying, still sends shivers down the back of my spine the way that thing builds. Freebird.
Thank you, that's a compliment.
Nice one. Unfortunately, seeing as that's 7 minutes long, I've got to take a break now. I'm back in a second. Hello, fan. Right, well, in the studio here, we got Leon and Ronnie from Leonard Skinner. You had two very successful albums produced by Al Kooper, and you brought in the new single, an acetate of your new single, Double Trouble. Presumably that's a cut from an album.
All right, so it's the title song from the album.
Yeah. And yet that's been produced by a new producer, so you had two very successful albums with Al Kooper, and now you've gone over to Tom
Three.
Dowd.
That's excluding Nothing
Three,
Fancy.
sorry.
Three,
yeah,
altogether.
Sorry. Sorry. Why did you make that change from Kooper to Dowd? I gather that there's a sort of...
You want me to tell it, Leon?
Nothing Fancy was the beginning of the Kooper dilemma, and Ronnie Van Zant, take it away.
He was always wanting to make it blood, sweat, and Leonard Skinner, He's a musician, not a producer.
He's trying to make that step.
And he has his ideas the way songs should go, and we have our own. And he was always trying to influence us to do this or do that, and we'd always end up in an argument and sometimes almost fighting. And when we was doing Nothing Fancy, we finally shipped him out of the studio. We shipped him to New York for 5 days, so we could get ourselves back together again, And we owe Al quite a lot, He was the one that got us our break and all, but we paid him very well and lived up to our contracts, and our contract's over with him. And we felt it now was the time to go in a different direction with a new man.
How important to a band like yourselves is the actual producer?
Very, very, very important. Very, very important.
I think
that's half of it.
The job of a producer should be mainly that he just lay back, stay in the studio, listen, speak when spoken to, and, just direct the engineering and the recording. If he has musical ideas, to only, get involved with that, category of the group, if they so desire, for him to consult with them on it. And Kooper was, just pushing that part of being a producer. He was trying to express musical ideas and get involved in the musical part of the group.
In the end, the group's the one that's going to live with it or die with it, So if it turns out bad, we want it all to be us, I mean, be hell if you put out a bad album and...
Did that manifest itself in
Nothing? The producer's fault.
In Nothing Fancy? The problems that you had, or did you iron that out? I mean, is that an album that you feel is you? I mean, did you have any problems during that album?
Oh, yes. Like I said, we had to send Kooper to New York for 5 days. We fought with him like cats and dogs.
There was just too much pressure, and Kooper seemed to really be breaking under it. And
he almost had a nervous breakdown.
Well, anyway, you've now got Tom Dowd as your producer. When's the album coming out, the new album?
It'll be February, I'm pretty
February?
sure. It'll be finished a long
That's
time
in
before
America.
Yeah.
that. But,
And this new single that I have holding under my thumb at the moment, as I turn around to the people from MCA, when's this coming out? Anyone? 24th of this month. Okay, I believe for the first time on Capitol, this is the new single from Leonard Skinner. It's called Double Trouble. The new single from Leonard Skinner from the new album, Double Trouble. I love that little bit in it where you don't actually say the word that you mean to say. Yeah, you know what. It's 10 to 10 on this Thursday night. You're listening to Capitol, and your mother wouldn't like it. And your gig is on the 27th, is it not? At
Right.
the Odeon Hammersmith. Looking forward to that,
We
because
are
there's a
too.
lot of buzz around at the moment about that gig. Will you be doing any new tracks from the new album?
We'll be doing that one. We'll be doing, let's see, about 3 or 4 songs that
Yeah.
will be off the new album.
And Free Bird.
And Free Bird.
And Sweet Home Alabama.
And Sweet Home Alabama.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you for
It's
having
been
us.
really nice.
Thank you.
And next time you're back in town, do please come up